Hello and welcome. You are live with Sandra at It's All About Choices, and welcome to Nutrition, Lunch, and Learn. And I am Sandra, your RDN, where I come before you every week live on Tuesdays. And I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to tune in live or to listen to the replay. So I thank you so much. I am humble and love the fact that I have the opportunity to provide this platform to where I can share some wellness and nutrition news that will hopefully take you one step further, help your family, and to help you just to maybe learn some things that maybe you didn't think about or you didn't learn about or didn't know about. There's so much information out there. So I just take pride in being able to give you stuff that I know is proven and tried and true. And you can enjoy the process and enjoy the journey. And so, for those who are, as you're tuning in, say hello to me. I love engagement. So, I love for you to chime in, ask questions, comments, aha moments, anything that comes at you related to our topic. So I like for this to serve as a two-way communication instead of me just talking at you. Okay. And so we are on week 2 of our 3-week special series where we're talking about weight loss, healthy eating. Why is it all just so hard? What do we need to do to break the vicious cycle, basically? And so today we are talking about exercise. So you hit it hard, H-I-I-T, hit. I hit it hard when I work out, or maybe you hit it hard at the gym, but the weight is still not coming off. So I know that is frustrating. I hear this very, very often, especially I hear from those, maybe I've hired a trainer and they just seem to like it's just not moving. The weight is not moving and they get frustrated with the trainer. And I was like, no, it's not the trainer's fault. It's not the trainer's fault. There's some other pieces to this equation that need balancing out. Okay, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And so, are you frustrated because, like I said, you hired a personal trainer, you're hitting it hard, but you're just not seeing the results on the scale the way that you like it, or even how you look? Okay. Have you ever wondered why you maybe only lose a few inches on the scale but overall it just doesn't work, doesn't move, the scale doesn't move. So you lose a few inches, but you don't see the scale reflecting that. Do you eat well? Do you exercise often and you still feel like you're not able to lose that weight? Maybe it's age or something like that. Hearing more and more about premenopause and things like that. And I challenge all of that. Okay. So it makes sense that if you eat less, you exercise more, that equals weight loss automatically, right? Well, grab a pen, grab some paper, and I'm going to unveil 3 common exercise related mistakes that hinder your weight loss and what to do to finally see some results from all that hard work that you're doing, okay? All that sweating that you're doing. And so my name is Sandra Goldtree. For those who do not know who I am, and I am a registered dietitian. I'm also a certified personal trainer, and I am your accountability partner. In this time of the year, I simply want to help you to achieve your weight goals, your health goals, without feeling like you got to deprive yourself or go on a diet, and especially just really to get through the holidays. Okay, right now it's all about getting through the holidays. Those who maybe have been having steady weight loss, especially healthy weight loss throughout the year, they get to the holidays and they get a little bit nervous that they're going to derail and lose all or gain all back that they've lost. And I say, no, the goal is to let's maintain, until you can go through the holidays and thinking about, okay, beyond the reason for the season, which we know is Jesus, it's just another day as far as food goes. So until you get to that point, then I say, hey, just try to maintain, because trust me, you're going to eat more than what you need to eat to lose weight. So you're still going to have some indulgences. And so I want to help you feel good about yourself and by showing you how to get that energy back so that you can enjoy doing the things that you enjoy doing. All right. So let's jump in. And so I have my question. You guys know I like to open up with a little poll question to see how we are, where we are, my audience. And the question is, do you have a plan to get healthier for 2022? Okay. Not just a weight loss plan or a getting healthier plan or even an exercise plan or resolutions or whatever we want to call them. Do you have a plan? Big difference. You have some plans with some SMART goals tacked onto it. Okay. So again, for those who are tuning in, I hit it hard at the gym or I work out, I hit it hard, but the weight is not coming off. What do we do? Okay. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And so I'm going to ask a question here. Do you track your calories in an app? That's kind of the icebreaker question. Do you use an app to track calories? So I know that's very common for people to use an app to kind of keep track of their calories. So do you do that? And yes or no? So just post yes or no. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm just kind of curious to see. All right, and so my first mistake, the first exercise related mistake that people make that's very, very common is you're not eating enough. Okay, that hinders our weight loss, that lowers our energy levels, that raises our cravings, is we're not eating enough. Okay, I always tell people you need to eat enough to live, survive, blink, walk, talk, think, focus, and we also need to eat enough to lose weight. A lot of times people don't think about it that way. But it's not as easy as you eat less, exercise more, and voila, you lose weight. And that is not quite the way it works. So these very low carb or very low calorie diets, they sometimes create a quick initial weight loss, but when hunger and boredom and life circumstances get in the way, these unrealistic restrictions quickly become very difficult to stick to. And typically, when it's drastic like that, it's typically water weight, it's typically muscle, it's typically all the things that we don't want to lose. So we want real weight. You want to lose real weight. So you want to lose it the right way. You want to lose fat, right? And so this typically leads to the diet, the binge cycle of eating. So you diet and then you binge, you diet, then you binge, and then you feel bad, and then you feel guilty, and then you feel frustrated, and you feel ashamed, and you feel defeated. So it just kind of compounds, right? It just kind of compounds, and this really weighs on us emotionally. So what do most of us do? So we meticulously log everything we're eating, our calories. Some people go as far as count macros if they're familiar with that. Sometimes they're not doing it accurately, but they're trying to cut certain things out. And so we typically restrict ourselves from eating that one magic number on the tracking app. And once that number is reached, then despite how hungry you are, how unsatisfied you feel, you're trying to stop. And then like clockwork, we come home one night and we end up binging, okay, on enough to feed, family of five, way more than what we thought we were saving when we were kind of putting that information in the app and restricting our calories. But don't miss this, okay? Now this is a very important point. When our body is in starvation mode, it slows down a lot of functions that are necessary to burn fat and to burn calories, which is ultimately what many of us want to do. That includes your thyroid, that includes your metabolism, that includes blood pressure. So it impacts a lot of things because your body is really trying to do all that it can to keep you alive and to keep our bodies in what we call equilibrium. Okay. And so it's working in overdrive just to do very little because we're depriving it. So we got to be careful with that. And so at the end of the day, the battle of the binge, it's a hard one to win. Okay. At the long run, it's a very difficult one to win. All right. And so this question again, I'm going to ask, so if you track your calories or macros in an app, so if you track anything in an app, then, post that you do. Apps are fun. They do add some level of calorie control if you're going to stay honest with it, but really more importantly, it really opens your eyes. It really makes it real. It really, if anything, it should make you pay attention to what you're eating or not eating. But apps don't necessarily track the quality though of your eating pattern, okay, or if your nutrient needs are being met. I mean, you'll see the bar, but if you're not really familiar with the foods and that will give you the nutrients and it's about the total body. So it's not about this one nutrient, then we can still miss the mark. And then this is where working with a dietitian helps for a season to help you to weed through the nutrition misinformation and to eliminate and to eliminate your food avoidance list. So I usually tell people to just rip up that avoidance list because most of the foods on there, besides the obvious, you probably need to eat and it has nutrients in that your body needs. And so I use a tracking app on a regular basis, and they are very powerful when the goal is to eat for total body wellness. And when you understand what that means, and you're not just eating to restrict calories or carbs. So when you understand, because there's certain knowledge that the tools and the apps don't have that you need to know. And so once you have that in combination with it, adding everything up and lighting things up in the colors, then it does make it very, very powerful. Okay, very, very powerful. Alrighty, and now the second common exercise related mistake that hinders weight loss is you're exercising too much. What is that all about? Exercising too much. Is there a such thing as exercising too much? Well, yes, there is, especially if you are not eating enough to support what you're exercising. Okay. Or if you're not even exercising effectively. Okay. We can do a lot of stuff, but if it's not effective, we're still missing the mark. And so this goes hand in hand with mistake number one, with not eating enough. And so on top of that, the body is not given time to recover. So I've had clients where they told me they're working out like 3 hours a day, and they are eating very little to support that level of exercise. So they're not getting the results that they're looking for. And on top of that, now you're risking injury and other things because you're trying to push your body to a place where it's not able to go. And so, just like we should eat balanced and in moderation, we should also exercise and have balance. And it's called cross training. It's not my term, but it is called cross training. And so that also includes stretch days. That also includes a rest day where you are do absolutely nothing, regarding your exerting your body, because part of the losing weight, building muscle, and etc., and changing body composition is about stretching and resting too. It's not just about hitting it hard and long and lifting heavy or doing so much cardio that you pass out. Is not about that. It's about being able to effectively work in your body. And if you have this is why you need a personal trainer in the gym or group programs. I'm very big on that because they are going to know how to effectively work out. You want to work smarter, not harder. And so there's a way to do that. Okay. And recovery and stretching and rest are just as important as the workout itself. So usually, I know there's a time I didn't like it, but it is very, very, very important. Okay. And when we are resting and getting 7 hours of sleep, at least, that is when fat burning really takes place. Okay. That's where the real work, that's where the real magic happens. Okay. And so recovery and stretching also prevents excess muscle tightness and injury. Okay. This is probably the only thing that I will put on age is if you don't stretch and your muscles will get tight, especially if you're working them hard. Okay. So give your body time to fully recover so that you're ready to work hard for the next workout. Okay. And listen to your body. Okay. Because sometimes your body will just say, hey, today's not the day. I need to rest. So listen to your body. Okay. Don't have to work out every single day. We do need to have rest periods in it. So let me hear from you. So what's your primary form of exercise? Okay. Or what form are you doing on most days of the week? So is it cardio? Okay. Is it cardio? And so cardio is when you are in fat burning mode, where you can still hold a conversation, but yet you are exercising your heart for at least 20 minutes, okay, continuously. So not the stopping and the going and walking 10,000 steps. That is great to do, but that is not really exercising your heart, okay? So that's an example of cardio. HIIT, sucking wind. So that's high intensity interval training. So you're sucking wind. So you like Tabata or the cardio portion of P90X if you're still doing those, insanity type classes. So you do not want to do those every day. That should not be the cornerstone of your exercise. You want, because now that's way above that fat burning target. So you want to do that periodically. Then you have your resistance, and that includes either lifting weights or body weight bands, etc. But that is very important too. But that is not the cornerstone of a cross training. So I talk to a lot of people who feel like they got to lift like every day, heavy. So you do want to do resistance, but not heavy every day. So again, we want cross training. Then you have cardio with weights. And so usually this is for muscle endurance. So the lifting heavier is for strength. But then you want to think about muscle endurance. So you want to be able to lift lighter weights for longer periods of time, okay, and faster reps. And so you want to be able to do both of those as well. And then, of course, stretch. So that's great for balance, flexibility, agility workouts. All of those fall in those categories, and those are very, very important. So think about as we get older, we want to still be able to balance. We want to still be able to stay independent at the end of the day. And so the more we continue to do those flexibility and agility type workouts, the better. And then, and ideally, you want to incorporate all of this throughout throughout the course of a program, not just one day, one workout, but usually in week intervals is usually how it goes over the course of a month, is usually what we would like to say is a nice exercise rotation. All right. So high level. But just so you know, it's not just about, sweating and you got to feel pain in order to make progress with your exercise. So we want to make sure that they're effective and that they are efficient. Okay. So that's important. All righty. And so let's wrap it up. Let's go into exercise related mistake number 3. Okay. That may hinder your weight loss and it hinders the results that you're seeing from all the hard work that you're doing. So that's what we're talking about today. And so number 3, you're exercising a lot, but you're ignoring what you're eating. Okay. So that's what we're here for, right? And so, and again, my saying is you can't outwork out a bad diet. And I've been there, I've done that, and it's frustrating, right? So do you find yourself consistently eating, making inconsistent eating choices, or maybe you're favoring unhealthy foods with the assumption that if you take this extra cycling class or this extra spin class, or if you work out an hour more or something related to exercise, we almost you're losing almost like you're using exercise as punishment because you ate too much. It doesn't work. Okay. That's just not how it works. Okay. So you're kind of putting yourself through something that is not going to get you what you want. And so the truth of the matter is that people are overweight because they exercise more, thinking that they can compensate for that and eat more. So they're like, oh, I burn, especially when it tells you, oh, I burned 1,000 calories. Did you really burn 1,000 calories? Those algorithms, those monitors are not always accurate. I will say that, but people think that they can eat those calories back, and then they're like even kill, and it does not work that way. Our body is way more sophisticated than that, and so at the end of the day, weight comes down to 80% what you're eating, and a lot of that 80% is mindset. Okay, because if your mind is not in the right place, you're not willing to do the things that you need to do, which is not a lot, but the things that you need to do to really make yourself a priority in order to get the eating under control, then it's gonna come more difficult. But mindset is everything, and being in that place where, okay, let me prioritize things properly, and then 20% exercise at the end of the day. Okay, and so if you want to see success, look at yourself in the mirror. If you want to see that success in the mirror and you want to see it on the scale, then it's time to really take a closer look at what is going on in the kitchen at the end of the day. And again, I like to say we don't know what we don't know. So I've talked to people, oh, I shop at Whole Foods and I, don't do this, I do that, I have organic. They share with me the things that they're doing, but that is not always necessarily what is needed, or maybe it's not being implemented in the right way to where it's working for them. And so mindset dictates what's going on in the kitchen. Okay, that's what's going to dictate. So don't miss this. So the number of calories and or the macros that make up a specific individual needs, it depends on so many factors. Okay, so for my ladies, every woman will not lose weight eating 1,200 calories. Okay, that's just not, that's the magic number for women, but that is not the magic number that we need. And so it depends on sometimes age, it depends on gender, your weight goals, medications, diagnosis, food intolerances. I mean, there's so many factors that fall into the equation. So it's not just as simple as 1, 2, 3. And so the number of calories required for healthy fat loss is definitely more complicated than just cutting out carbs. Okay, so food for thought there. Alrighty, and so let me ask, which ones do you opt for? Okay, let me see. Did I give you the list? Nope. So let me tell you the list. So the list is you opt for to hire a trainer for exercise. Do you join a gym? And when you join a gym, specify if you just maybe do the free weights and things like that, or do you participate in the group classes? And then maybe you exercise more. But what do you opt for when you're trying to lose weight? Do you exercise more? Maybe you're already working out, but now you want to do more of it. Or maybe you kind of fallen off and you want to start back. So which Where do you fall in that equation? Okay, and this is strictly just for the exercise part of the equation. So we're not talking about nutrition at all right here. So when you're ready to like motivated to want to exercise and get that back into your life, what's your first go to? Okay, or maybe you go walking. Maybe you do something on your own. So all that counts. So where do you begin? So, what is the big takeaway? Takeaway. So, remember, at the end of the day, weight loss, your weight, which is both weight loss and maybe somebody who wants to maintain their weight, it comes down to 80% mindset and what you are eating. 45%, I say, is mindset, 35% is diet. Because if your mind is in the right place and you ready, that you will stop at nothing to make it happen, and is not at the expense of other priorities in your life, the eating part is a piece of cake. Trust me, it's a piece of cake. And so that's a whole nother lie, though. And then 20% exercise, okay? And all of that is going to result in a more enjoyable journey, okay? When the mind is in the right place, the journey is much better. And then you respect the process, okay? You understand it, you respect the process, and you're open to learning. And you realize that the results will last, okay? Even if you have a moment or a season where things kind of get a little off, you really know how to reset and get back on track versus just jumping back on the vicious cycle of losing and or getting frustrated because you're not losing and then you're gaining it back. And so my main question to you is, you know, what is your step one? So figure out what is step one. Most people are like, well, where do you start? How do you make this happen? And so I have this 5-day weight loss jumpstart. It's a great tool. It's a great tool that you can use to jumpstart your journey. It will improve your health and vitality, and it will reduce your need for medication. So that's something, because once you get on the habit of eating a certain way, your body will respond very, very quickly. And then you will increase your energy levels. Now, that's something you will definitely see within 5 days. Okay. As far as improving your health, of course, you have to stay consistent with that. And then it will help you to manage your weight, and it will help you to fit back into those clothes that are in your closet. I'm all about shopping in your closet. You don't need to buy nothing new. You got a whole bunch of stuff right there in your closet that I know a lot of people want to get back into. And then you stay consistent with your eating, and it'll help you to manage your weight, and you will enjoy your meals without guessing and wondering, how is this going to impact me? Is this the right thing? Is this the right amount? What should I eat? When should I eat? So it's really about education and just really having the right tools in your toolbox and you will know what is foolery when you're reading it or seeing it, and what is, okay, this is more evidence based, or this is more accurate, this is proven, this will work, versus it being some extreme stuff. You'll be able to identify the red flags, and that's what's important. And that is what is important. And here is where you download this guide. So actionchoices.com// jumpstart. 5 days of meals, recipes, snacks, prep guide. So for those who are not as kitchen savvy or don't know where to begin, or you're not prepping and planning all 5 days in one day. So it will guide you on what to do what on which day. So there are several days where you're doing leftovers and you may be preparing one meal. In many cases, you're preparing your snacks in advance so you can just grab and go, which is really what you want at the end of the day. And it has an itemized grocery list. And there's also substitutions in case maybe there's an allergy or something you don't like. There are many ways to substitute. So I'm all about making sure usually you'll have a lot of this stuff already in your kitchen. So make sure, read all of the information as far as substitutions, and make sure you don't buy anything that you don't need to buy. But it's a fun plan. You can do it in its entirety, or you can pick snacks that you want. And it's really going to come in handy on those holidays, like we have Christmas coming up. And so maybe you want to pick a few of your favorites to kind of eat before the big meal without not eating anything. And then you go into that meal starving and you eat more. And then, that vicious cycle begins all over again. So that's what it's all about. Just kind of allowing yourself to prepare yourself without having to get surprised, and having the strong cravings and having the desire to want to overeat. That's what it's all about. So any questions or comments, don't hesitate to post them in the chat, in these stories, in these situations, any aha moments you want to share. Do not hesitate, and I will update and respond. Okay. And so I'm here to help you. And so I take pleasure in doing that. And so this concludes what I have for this week's edition of Nutritional Wellness News for your mind and your body and your soul. And I am Sandra, your RDN. Thank you for tuning in live. Thank you for tuning into the replay. And we will talk about we will have our last point on this particular topic as far as, why is it so hard to lose weight? Why is it so hard to eat healthy? And we will kick our third series or our third week off on this 3-week series with I cut out sweets, still not losing weight. Okay, so that's a very popular one. Cut out sweets and still not losing weight, or maybe you don't eat them at all and you're wondering, well, why am I not losing weight? So we'll talk about that. All right. So thank you for tuning in. Bye for now. Have a